of Tiffany Rose Armentrout, who's here in person, and Brian Scott Cleveland, who's appearing via Zoom, file number 13-39212DS. All right, so we were last here on September 26th of 22, and the parties were ordered to begin services with Dr. Cunningham with frequency of visitation at the discretion of Dr. Cunningham. Mr. Vasquez stated that he has not heard from either Mr. Cleveland or Ms. Armentrout. So I guess I'll start with you. Mr. Cleveland, have those services begun?
No, Your Honor.
Say that again.
No, Your Honor.
Right, Ms. Armentrout, have you contacted Dr. Cunningham?
Yeah, I've been in contact with him a few times. He's declining services because he said that he's not going to take father's abuse or
Okay, that's hearsay, so I don't want to hear that, but you're saying that you contacted Dr. Cunningham and he said he will not do it.
correct.
Okay, so and what services, Mr. Vasquez, were they supposed to be doing? Counseling or reunification, or what was it?
I think it was family therapy sessions, I believe.
Okay, so for whatever reason, Dr. Cunningham is now saying he won't do it. So we need to find somebody else. Mr. Cleveland, you live in Wasion, so that's not that far away. Okay,
Your
so we have
Honor.
a couple other options. Yes, Mr. Cleveland.
I did go ahead and take it by myself to find another therapist that will take the insurances and see the children. Her name is Marissa Wagner. She's out of Shalom, SHALOM, counseling and family
Where's
therapy.
that located?
Archbold.
Okay, you live in,
I live here in town.
okay, all right, I don't have any idea how far Archibald is from here.
It is the next town over from me. It's not too far from the Salmon Trout.
Okay, so let me look here. Archibald, Ohio, I mean, I've seen it. It's an hour. It's about an hour from here, 50 minutes is what I'm getting. All right, and what insurance do they have?
For me to be covered and for the children, it's United Healthcare.
Okay, is that out of Ohio?
Correct.
Okay, so Archibald's an hour away. How old are these kids?
16 and 13.
16 and 13. Are they involved in school activities?
Yes.
Which ones?
Ryland does civil air patrol. And right now Isabel's just focusing on her therapy and mental health.
Say it again.
Isabel's not doing anything besides dance. So I don't know if she's going to continue with school with the dance team or if she's just going to stay in school. She's still kind of on the fence about that one.
Okay. All right, so I would like to find something a little bit closer, and I don't know if that would be, like right over the border. Just like more this way than Archibald, because an hour is a long way to go. Especially just from Adrian, and I don't know what the frequency is, and so there's quite a few cities in Ohio that are on the border between us and you. Trying to think. What's that real pretty one? That's a real pretty one. If you take the back way to Toledo instead of going Sylvania, might be an option. There's lots of places in Sylvania. It's a bigger city. Mr. Cleveland, do you want to check in Sylvania?
I believe Sylvania is farther.
I don't know. What would be halfway between Adrian and you? Sylvania is like right across the Ohio border.
Well, Archbold's right across the border as well, but it's further west. Sylvania is further east.
How long does it take you to get to Sylvania?
For me, about an hour.
Yeah.
All right. So Ms. Armentrout, an hour,
The original court order said that we were supposed to be issued counseling and parenting issues type stuff here in Lenawee County.
I don't have the file, Mr. Vasquez, was the original order that all counseling was supposed to occur in Lenawee County?
I'm not sure on that, on the specifics on that, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I don't have a file, so I don't know, because I'm only here on, like, I don't get like the whole file, so I apologize for that. So Mr. Cleveland, if you want to hang out for a minute, Ms. Armentrout, have a seat, and Ms. Adams, if I could get the Armentrout Cleveland file, please. Mr. Cleveland, I'm going to send you a request to start your video.
Got it.
All right, so Mr. Vasquez, Mr. Anderson, or Mr. Jeff Anderson, I think you're done. This is the only one I have left, and it's Mr. Vasquez. All right, so as I look through the file, I have one court order from September 30, I have one from September 19. And the September 19 one ordered that Miss Armentrout was to obtain a new family therapist. And then she found Dr. Cunningham, and then evidently for whatever reason, Dr. Cunningham doesn't want to do it. This is one Miss Underwood was appointed on. Let's see. All right, so the last time Miss Armentrout was ordered to do it, she did find Dr. Cunningham, and like I said, I don't want to get into the whys, but for whatever reason, Dr. Cunningham doesn't want to do this. Mr. Cleveland, you live in Wasion. Miss Armentrout, where did you say you live, Adrian? So what's kind of a city in between?
I'm not really positive for Wasion. I just know that we're both from Toledo, so anywhere in between would be normal for us.
Yeah, I mean,
Preferably not now.
yeah. I think you're both gonna have to drive a little bit just because you live so far away from each other. I'm looking right now. There's Wasion.
Around the airport, Howland, Ohio,
Yeah,
airport.
I mean, you're probably gonna need a bigger city, and so both of you are gonna have to drive a little bit. I mean, obviously in Michigan, there's Morenci, there may be therapists in Morenci, which I know there are. You know, but either way, either of you, there's nothing like Royalton, Amboy, Fayette. I mean, both of you are gonna have to drive a little bit. I would say probably if we need Ohio for your insurance, Mr. Cleveland, probably the biggest city you're gonna be able to go to is Toledo or Holland, Sylvania.
Your Honor, those still would be further than Archbold would be right now. And she did have the paperwork and everything else. I've already gone through intake with her. She's just like on the side of Wasion right here. And Miss Armentrout did come out here to AJA behavioral before.
Which cost us a lot in gas.
You gotta speak up.
It was a lot in gas for us to be going back and forth, but you know, plus unlimited to.
What about teletherapy?
I have no objections to that. It would probably make the children feel more comfortable. On some of this.
I would object to that though, Your Honor. I haven't seen my
Right,
kids.
but either you drive an hour or she drives an hour, and seems like there's no good in between. Looking at income. Those are not. All right, Ms. Van Duzen, do you have Meridian on the kids? So, you know, we can either, I mean, one of you is gonna have to drive. So, but unfortunately, kids, that's like a 3 hours, you know, it probably is an hour in session and 2 hours driving on a school night. I mean, it's just not a good idea. So, you know, I would guess, is there any place in Morenci?
I have not tried Morenci. I've called 14 different places here in town and they have refused to work with Mr. Cleveland.
But they haven't met him, why would they refuse to work with him?
Because of when they ask why we were court ordered, what happened with previous counselors, and they get their answers, they're like, I don't want to deal with him.
Okay, well, okay. So, let me see.
And I will bring documentation for
Say it
friend
again.
court. I will bring in documentation for friend court regarding Mr. Cunningham.
Well, it's not an issue anymore.
Your Honor,
I
there
just-
still is AJA behavioral.
I can't hear you, Mr. Cleveland, say that again.
There still is AJA behavioral. The only issue was Ms. Armentrout made accusations that we had like sexual relations or something like that. That's why she refused to continue working with.
Okay, well, all right, so here's the deal. There's a counselor in Morenci called DNS Family Counseling. I'm gonna give you a phone number. It's 517-458-1357.
1357.
517-458-1357.
Okay.
Okay, so, Mr. Cleveland and Miss Armentrout. So the counseling is for Mr. Cleveland and the children, right?
I was told it was supposed to be all of us. His last counselor excluded me from everything. And
Let me see
then
what I ordered.
ran
Hold on a
with it.
second. I mean, I can't imagine I would want both of you in the same room.
But
You guys fight all the time, so let me see.
I'm perfect.
Hold on, just stop talking for a minute. Family therapist. Hold on, let me get through all these orders. Mr. Cleveland, Miss Armentrout believes it was for all of you to be in therapy, including her and you. Is that correct?
You say again?
I'm sorry. Did you, Miss Armentrout believes that therapy was between all of you, including herself and you.
No, Your Honor, this is supposed to be between me and my children because Ms. Armentrout has kept them away from me so long that we're needing to reconnect.
Okay, all right.
And that was
So
the problem with the
I
last
got
one.
the order. So I've got an order from March 4 of 22. Let's see, father shall provide mother with the names, addresses, and phone numbers of 3 therapists, and provide mother with this information. Mother may make her individual contacts to ascertain information and choose one of the therapists. Parties will make arrangements with chosen therapist, and both parties and children will participate as therapist directs. So I think that there was a little bit of misunderstanding. So I'm gonna do an order, Ms. Van Duzen, I'll loop you in on this, that, all right. So I think that adults, like, you would only participate if they want you to, the therapist, all right? So, I'm going to order, let me write this down. that, Mr. Cleveland will contact the counselor, counseling service, DNS family counseling. And I don't know, they may not do it. I don't know. I don't know what kind of counseling they do. All right, and I don't want either of you contacting a counselor and giving background information. So you don't get to talk about, no, you don't get to call and tell them, you know, it's just family counseling between Mr. Cleveland and the children. That's for the counselor to figure out. So they'll probably interview the children, probably interview Mr. Cleveland, probably talk to you, maybe not, individually and separately before they bring everybody in a room, because that's how counselors usually do it. But I don't want either of you contacting them and giving them biased information from your side that might discourage them from wanting to do counseling.
I have a question for, what is your suggestion then when there is that initial visit of trying to, I don't know what they call it, but it's like when they bring in the different parties and talk to them.
Okay, so
And
you
they
and I are not
ask what
therapists,
happened.
right? Neither of
Okay.
us are. We're not therapists. I do this all the time. I order people into counseling. The counselor meets with the kids, the counselor meets with the parent, and when the counselor thinks it's appropriate to bring them in a room, they do. I'm not an expert, you're not an expert, Mr. Cleveland's not an expert.
It's when they ask what has
That's
happened. that
their
led
job.
to- And that there
But
was
that's not
things
you,
that
that's
were-
the kids.
Ma'am,
You-
I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring the point of like when supervised parenting was terminated and they ask why. Am
Your
I
kids
supposed
are
to lie or
16 and
not tell them?
14, they can say what they want. They're not stupid. So if you have
Yes, I
older
can
children
go
and the
ahead
counselor
and-
asks them, they're able to use words and communicate that,
So
are
I
they
just tell
not?
them, Go ahead and ask my children.
Huh?
So when they ask me, just tell them to go ahead and ask the children,
Why would you even be there?
because they've called me in to ask me before. And all I've done is complied with what people have asked or told me to do, and nothing more, nothing less. So I'm just
Okay.
asking you, what is the appropriate way to handle that if a counselor asks me, how did we come to this point after so long? What happened
Okay,
with
so
supervised parenting?
what I'm gonna
What happened
say
with
is,
counselors,
we're gonna
blah, blah,
schedule
blah.
Mr. Cleveland and the children in for counseling,
Okay,
not you.
and that's how the last.
And then
one
if the
went.
counselor decides they want to meet with you, then you can meet with them and give them your version of events. But Mr. Cleveland gets to give them his version of events, and the kids are too. These kids are old enough to be able to communicate if they have any concerns or fears.
What happens when their fears and
I-
concerns are
I'm
addressed?
I'm gonna order this.
And that's fine, because I know how it'll go, but I'm asking, when it gets to that point, what do my children do? What are their rights? How do they speak up for themselves?
Do they not know how to form sentences and words?
They have,
Okay,
but
then they
the
can do that with the
previous-
counselor. And they can either say, you know, they'll be honest, I would assume, with the counselor about what they want.
I'm not worried about that aspect of it. It was just the way that the last counselor handled things that makes me a little concerned for my children. Okay, a lot concerned.
I'm leaving it in a qualified professional's hands. I'm not a counselor either. And you don't know what your kids say when they're in that room alone with them. What I found is kids say a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And, you know, I'm assuming we're referring to qualified professionals. So so Mr. Cleveland, if DNS counseling in Muncie, Michigan is not available, I'm going to ask that we look in Holland, Sylvania area.
Okay, Your Honor.
Because I'd rather you drive longer than the kids. Okay, Kids are pretty honest and counselors are mandatory reporters. So if they express any concerns,
I think there was,
I don't want to hear about it. I'm just saying, I don't want to, we're not having testimony by a therapist or anyone
I'm
else.
fine
So
with a therapist, but I think that at least would make me feel better.
I'm just saying, I'm going to leave it in the discretion of the counselor. I've had counselors come in and say, I would recommend no contact. It is what it is, but
As a legal issue.
okay. All right, so I'm going to order that Mr. Cleveland will contact DNS Counseling in Morenci, Michigan for counseling services. If they are not available, then Mr. Cleveland will find one in the Holland, Sylvania area. The counseling will be between the minor children and Mr. Cleveland. Ms. Armentrout will only interact or speak with the counselor at the direction of the counselor. All right, and I'm going to set this for review on January 30th is my next available. Well, actually, no. Miss Adams, could I get a mid-January date? And then, Jake, could you let Miss Pelham know that Mr. Saunders is here? I don't
Yes.
know if you could holler across the hall.
That's, we have January 9th or January 30th.
All right, let's do January 9th. So we'll see you back on January 9th at 8 AM just to check in and see what happened. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We'll send that order out today. All right. This is in the matter of Tiffany Armentrout versus Brian Cleveland, file number 13-39212DS. Mr. Cleveland, Miss Armentrout typically attends in person. We had Adrian Public Schools had a threat today and, oh, wait, you are here. You snuck in. All right, come on up to the podium. I figured you had the kids somewhere. Sorry.
Yeah, they were excited for the delay, so there's.
Yeah. 2-hour delays and then canceling is kind of a pain though.
It wasn't in the fourth, no, it's 6:30.
All right, so Miss Armentrout is here. So this is file number 13-39212DS. This is a review. So we were here in November. Mr. Cleveland, you were ordered to contact DNS Counseling for services. If one not available, find one in Holland, Sylvania. And the counseling will be between you and the minor children, and Ms. Armentrout will not interact or speak with the counselor. So I'm just looking for an update, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. So Mr. Cleveland, where do we stand at this point?
Well, pretty much nobody except my insurance there. I did find Sylvania therapy, family therapy and counseling that would accept my therapy. However, they're limited on availability. They can only do it during the week. So it required one of the children being pulled out of school, and they're not sure about who my children's insurance is through. So Ms. Armentrout may have to pay out of pocket for that. That's where
All
I
right.
stand.
Okay, so what is your insurance?
My insurance,
Yes.
United Healthcare.
Okay, do you have my child? Meridian? Does,
My insurance will cover out of state for me because of my health conditions, but I'm not positive with the kids. I can always check. I know some places like Harbor Behavioral, stuff like that has taken.
where's Harbor Behavioral?
Secor Road in Toledo.
So, Mr. Cleveland, she said that her insurance sometimes is accepted out of state because, you know, it's Toledo. But what was it called?
Harbor Behavioral Healthcare.
So Harbor Behavioral Healthcare on Secor she said has accepted her insurance before.
Okay,
Do you want to try that place?
that's fine with me. I know exactly where she's talking.
You do? Okay. So can both of you reach out there?
That's up to you. The way the last quarter was written, I didn't even want to call.
All right, but does he have a copy of your insurance? Okay, so you might have to, so why don't we do this?
No parental anything, you can just.
I'm sorry?
Without having any like parental rights yet or anything, you can just have my insurance information, like, couldn't I just submit that to them if they agree to take us?
Well, yeah, so what I was gonna say is, Mr. Cleveland, if you want to reach out to them, do you guys communicate through,
It was ordered that he's only supposed to communicate through text.
okay,
about the kids.
so Mr. Cleveland, why don't you reach out to them? And then text her the contact name and number for her, that whoever you speak with, so that she can provide her insurance information to her. Can you do that?
I can. Is her number still the same?
I said text, yep. Through text. What, Mr. Cleveland?
Is her number still the same?
Is your number
For the
still-
last 10 years, sure is.
Yeah, it is. So she said it is. So, and then when you receive the text, just type that you verified you received it. All right? So, why don't we try that? So why don't I set this, to my next available, which is February 6th at 8 AM, and hopefully that place will work. All right?
And what date? I'm sorry.
February 6th at 8. Okay, Mr. Cleveland?
Yes, that sounds good.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cleveland. Thank you, Ms. Armstrong.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Habecker, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Tammy, there you go. All right, so this is in the matter of Tammy Bannon versus Anthony Habecker, file number 21-49015 PP. This is the date and time scheduled for a motion to terminate the personal protection order. That was filed by Mr. Habecker. So, Mr. Habecker, I know that you can't see what we're doing, so I'm going to start by swearing in Miss Bannon. And then I'm going to take some testimony from her, and then I'll go to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Miss Bannon, raise your right hand so I can see it on the screen. There you go. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so you can put your hand down, and I'm gonna need you to speak up pretty loudly, okay? Can you say your full name for the record?
Tammy Renee Bannon.
All right, so Miss Bannon, back on November 24th of 2021, you filed a petition for a personal protection order, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and you listed some different reasons. Could you go through the reasons that you requested this personal protection order?
I originally requested the protection order because I had ended a relationship with Anthony
Be honest.
after.
Mr. Habecker, so right now she's testifying, so I don't want you to interrupt, but I will give you an opportunity to speak later, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, good. All right, go ahead, Miss. So Miss Bannon, I guess I should start with the first question. Do you object? Do you want the personal protection order to stay in place, or do you agree to terminate it?
I want it to stay in place and I have my reasons.
Okay, all right, so go ahead, and if you could then state for the court the reason you requested the personal protection order.
The reason why I requested it in the first place is because I ended a relationship with Mr. Habecker that was abusive. And I told him he could no longer be in my house, but he kept showing up. He kept calling, he kept texting me, he kept finding ways to communicate with me. And it was out of control. He was calling my mother, my father, my ex-husband. I
As
was,
you did.
Mr. Habecker, she's talking now, so you don't get to interrupt, and if you do, I'm gonna adjourn this to another day. All right, so stop talking. All right, go ahead, Ms. Bannon.
since then, I'm actually, can I just read something that I wrote, my statement?
Say that again.
Can I just read my statement?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I'm asking you and the court system of Lenawee County to help me. Last year, you granted me a PPO against Anthony after I ended an abusive relationship. Back then, during an argument, he crawled through my kitchen window, slapped my back, and pushed me off a step stool before he threw a roll of trash bags that hit me in my face and pushed me into a fence. I didn't press charges because
Mr. Habecker, all right, so let's stop for a moment because we're having some issues. So, Ms. Bannon, you do not want the personal protection order dismissed, is that correct?
No, I do not. And he has been violating the order since it was put into place, and I have police.
Okay, how has he
Absolutely
been
not.
violating?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Habecker,
Absolutely
you
not.
interrupt one more time. How has he been violating the personal protection order?
I have a police report
There you
from,
go.
All right, Mr. Habecker, you need to be quiet. All right, so Ms. Bannon, there have been violations. We filed police reports.
I filed a police report on 3/17 of 22, where Anthony had requested to get a copy of my American Express card. He was on it at one point. I took it away from him and took away his access. And he called American Express and somehow got them to send him a copy. So I called the officer, he took photographs, made the report, and the county decided not to press charges or violate that. On 4/19 of 22, I also contacted the police regarding a Facebook post from a Tony Haybecker, and he would go back and way back in years to find things that weren't private yet, and then make comments and like it, and just to intimidate or scare me, I guess. I'm not sure. I also got a phone call not that long ago. I had a contact from the FBI, which I contacted about that because I know he deals with harassment and stalking. I got a phone call from somebody asking me if I had a Toyota for sale. And I haven't owned a Toyota since I was with Anthony. It had been maybe 8 months since that was sold. And the person that called wouldn't tell me, said he got my number from a guy at work. He wouldn't tell me who it was at work. He wouldn't give me any sort of information. But he continues to call my ex-husband. He continues to.
Oh, wait a second. Is Jeffrey Bannon your ex-husband?
Yes,
Okay, because he is actually logged on too today.
he
Is he
is.
logged
Yeah.
on for you as a witness?
He's logged on for support. I was told I couldn't bring a witness.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Ms. Bannon, it sounds like there's been violations and, so, all right, I'm gonna stop you there. So thank you. All right, Mr. Habecker, is there anything you'd like to say on your motion to terminate?
110%
is that she's been calling my mother and working with her over the past 9 months after the order. And that's exactly how she's been operating. She thinks, if you look at her Instagram, if you look at her Facebook, she says that she's going to make a joke of me. And that's what she's doing of me today.
Okay,
She's made a joke of my family. She actually moved next to my brother, who's Matthew Habecker, and she thinks it's funny. It's not funny because it could be bad for her.
No, oh,
okay, so, all right, so based on the information I have today, I am going to deny your request to terminate the personal protection order, and the personal protection order will remain in place. It was extended, so the personal protection order will remain in place. to November 24th of 2023. Mr. Habecker, do you understand that if you violate this personal protection order, you can be facing up to 93 days in jail? That is the end of this hearing. Thank you.
Miss Judge Anzalone, I want to be proper with you.
That
in that
hearing's
I
over,
owe,
Mr. Habecker.
yeah,
Thank you.
I actually
Thank you.
owe her $1,000.
Thank you. All right, you're all set, Ms. Bannon and Mr. Bannon.
did you allow him in?
Yeah, he's in. He's just not, I think he's listening. Mr.
Do-
Bannon is.
Am I allowed to
Sorry.
say anything else?
We're done. I denied his request. The PPO remains in place. If there's any violations, report them to the police, okay?
I do report them to police and nothing gets done. He just threatened me on record.
I know he did, so I would make a police report on that.
Okay, thank you.
It's
I'll
live
call
on
right
YouTube.
now.
So it's on my YouTube channel, so they can view it on my YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stamper. You're muted.
I'm new. All right.
All right, this is in the matter of Cassie Ann Maher versus Brandon Lee Stamper, file number 17-44718DM. This is a date and time scheduled for a show cause in this matter. Mr. Stamper, you're ordered to pay $400 a month in child support. As of today's date, you have an arrearage in excess of $3,726. The last payment we received was $105.17 on December 5 of 2022. We've adjourned this hearing multiple times for employment purposes, and we've not received any payment. So, Mr. Stamper, you do have the right to have an attorney represent you at this and all subsequent hearings. If you can't afford to hire one, we can appoint you one at public expense. So, Mr. Stamper, would you like an attorney appointed to represent you?
I can't afford an attorney, Your Honor.
I said a court-appointed attorney. You don't have to pay for a court-appointed attorney.
No, I would not. No, that's fine.
All right. So, Mr. Stamper, can you turn your video on, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
It's all right.
How do I do that?
Are you on a phone or a computer?
My phone.
I just
Start
sent you a
video.
request to start the video. There you go.
Sorry.
All right. So, Mr. Stamper, you do not want an attorney appointed to represent you?
No.
All right. So, Mr. Stamper, now, this is, I don't see you have a previous contempt. So, Mr. Stamper, do you understand if you are found guilty or plead guilty to the contempt of court, you can be facing up to 45 days in jail?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Stamper, you waived the right to an attorney. So, do you understand that you do have a right to have a hearing on this? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that that it's a crime to fail to pay child support to the very best of your ability up to the amount ordered?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you understand that it, you have, okay, do you understand it's a crime to fail to pay child support to the very best of your ability up to the amount ordered?
Yes.
Do you understand if you plead guilty to this offense, I could sentence you to up to 45 days in jail?
Yes.
Do you understand you're entitled to have a trial and you cannot be convicted unless the evidence at your trial proves that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that you're entitled to have an attorney represent you here today and in all subsequent proceedings, and you waived that? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you understand that you're entitled to have all the witnesses against you appear at your trial, and you would have a right to question those witnesses while they're under oath at your trial? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand you're entitled to have me order any witnesses you might have to appear at your trial on your behalf?
Yes.
Do you understand that you do not have to say anything at your trial, and if you do not testify or say anything, nothing will be held against you, and in fact, no one will even mention your silence? Do you understand that?
Yes.
On the other hand, do you understand that you are entitled to testify at your trial if you want to testify?
Okay.
All right, how do you plead to the
Yes.
charge that you failed to pay child support to the very best of your ability up to the amount ordered?
Well, I mean,
Guilty or not guilty?
it's my responsibility to pay,
So,
and I haven't
sir,
paid, so I'm
it's
guilty.
guilty or not guilty?
Oh, I'm gonna be guilty.
All right. So, sir, you have a child support case where you're ordered to pay $400 a month child support. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the last payment I show is $105.17 on December 5. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Are you currently employed?
Well, yes and no. Sorry. Due to the storm last week, I was gonna start at Golden Limousine, but it got moved until tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Gold Limousine.
Golden Limousine in Milan, Michigan, on Carpenter Road.
Okay.
I'm sorry, miss. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm having a cluster headache right now. It's not good. So.
Okay. All right. And are you able to pay anything on this today?
Miss, I honestly, I won't have any money until Friday. I want to pay
All right. How
$500
much
on
can you
Friday.
pay on Friday?
I want to pay $500 on Friday, if possible.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this for I accept your plea. It has been given understandably, voluntarily, and accurately and knowingly given. You have full knowledge of your rights. I'm going to set this over for sentencing on March 20 at 8 a.m. and I'm going to require you to be in person. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So March 20 in person at 8 a.m. for sentencing. And at that time, I want to make sure that your employment is provided to the friend of the court, that you've also paid $500. All right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
All right. We'll see you back on March 20th at 8 a.m. Thank you.
Thanks. Shit hurts. It hurts. Oh my God.